Just a little flick off the yellow there. Can get through to this red. But doesn't pot it. And another double kiss. Got one in the last frame, didn't get another shot.
One.
Well, it could be all the reds are covering one another here.
Eight.
He's desperately trying to hunt down something that pots. As you look at making these a plant, they're quite a distance apart.
Judd.trump, 8.
Well, he didn't hold back, did he? Has he got? It always looks worse when you hit it at pace and you miss those shots. People say it looked a crazy shot. Needs
One.
to be seen. It's going to cost him. It's not the easiest chance with a black tied up. It certainly looks to me, David, that Judd.trump, he knows what kind of player, best of 17 frame match, what kind of player Mark Williams is, what kind of game he plays. It looks to me he just wants to attack him.
6.
Yeah, and I guess also he's got the confidence to do that. He's had such a good season. It's worked for him at various events. But yeah, he doesn't want to get sucked into the sort of the vortex that we saw in the first frame, which was not his game really. And he didn't win the frame, and he was in danger of it happening in the second as well.
Seven.
So of course, the only problem with going on all-out attack is what happens if you miss. You leave chances, and Williams looking to get himself going here. His highest break so far is only 25.
Yeah, I would in no way criticise Judd.trump for going for anything. I think that's the game he plays.
10. $50. 60. $21.
Again there, you see Mark Williams had a great angle in the blue. He could have gone into the reds there at pace. He'd have been very unlucky not to land on one. He chose to play the exact shot, and he's found himself not with the best angle on this red. And avoid that middle pocket next to his elbow if he's screwing back for the blue. That's why I only screwed the cue ball back to where it's landed, and that's not good where he is, hampered by the red near the left cushion. I'm saying not easy to get on a red now. I just think it's okay cherry picking sometimes, but certain times you just have to open things up to create good frame winning opportunities.
Foul. Mark Williams, 22.
Well, regardless of missing the pot, he fouled anyway. Just caught the red, I think. Yeah, well, very clearly did. Referee was right on the spot. At least he didn't leave Trump in, though. Mark Selby, you can see in the background, needs that pink for a century in frame 3 against Robertson. And it goes. Great match over there, all big breaks. 2-1 to Neil Robertson.
Foul. Nice. Mark Williams, 4.
Missed that by a millimetre, didn't he? But obviously he was attempting a thin contact.
One. Seven. Eight.
Now what reds are available to Mark Williams again? That first pink into the yellow pocket, he did have an angle to go into the reds. Maybe he only had one more red to play for. Angle to come off the left side cushion. Kind of a nothing shot, really.
40.
Almost just took the 6 points. I think his opponent would be going off 2 cushions with plenty of run inside and trying to open up the reds there. Taking this on, far left corner.
Mark Williams, 40.
Again, pretty clever shot actually. Be very unlucky to leave the red with the blue, yellow and brown where they are.
Well, back to, I guess, the style of play in the first frame, which Williams won after getting in front. Balls were awkward. Black tied up here. Trump tried to force the issue earlier with that plant to the left middle. Well, he looks relaxed, doesn't he? He always does, that's the point. He said he's only got really nervous twice playing snooker. Once was last year at the end of the semi-final at the Crucible against Barry Hawkins. And the other time, I'm loath to bring this up with Stephen sat beside me, but it was the respot of the Masters in 1998, the old conference centre at Wembley.
For a possible safety shot, couldn't think of one. Just got down that incredible red to the left corner.
Four. Five. Nine. Ten.
So an hour's playing time and a critical juncture of this third frame.
Forty.
May just drop this black in for. Look to see if one of the reds go to left corner. Definitely the right one goes to the right middle. I know it's very early in this match, but Judd.Trump looks by far more comfortable in scoring. He's striking the cue ball with a lot more authority than his opponent at the moment.
22.
Williams, he's knocked in a lot of his trademark single ball pots, Mark Williams, but he's certainly not got into scoring mode yet in this match.
No, his ice break is at 25.
Third.
To be fair, Judd.Trump strikes the cue ball with more authority than most on the tour. He certainly looks more likely to score. Win a frame in one visit of the two players. As I say, it's very early, only the third frame.
$35.
Shake of the head. The yellow only pots to the green pocket, so shake of the head would suggest to me that he's dead straight on this green. If so, the only shot he's got is follow through and leave the yellow to the left middle. is short. Can't play that shot now because the cue ball will be colliding with the blue.
38. Judd.trump, 38.
Well, he's got himself 11 points in front, and we've got Williams in behind the blue. Assuming he hits this, it's all about where it goes. Got to hit it first, though. Well, it nearly went in, is the answer. Came so close to potting this. Yeah, it's very thin, this. He's almost got to risk missing it altogether.
Two.
He would still need the brown after the green.
Well, I think just drop the green in. Okay, brown might be from distance. Well, it looks like he wants to take the cue ball around the table. I think if you pot the green, just play for the brown into the same pocket. He only needs the brown. That's what he's decided on now.
Five.
Well, it's not getting any easier. At least the cue ball has stayed out. That's brilliant. Right in the middle of the pocket.
Nine.
Not the most straightforward yellow, green and brown he'll ever pot, but he's potted them. Williams needs one snooker. Just make sure this blue. Well, amazing. He's missed that by some distance. And if anything, well, it's certainly a lot easier than the green and the brown he's knocked in. So one snooker needed. This frame not necessarily over yet.
Yeah, and a decent opportunity here for Mark Williams to get in behind the black. Trump will be furious inside at the moment. I don't expect him to miss this blue, but you've got to be careful when the object ball's in the middle of the table.
Foul.
Foul was it?
Five.
So
And the front.
he's conceded anyway. Well, Judd.trump probably incredible standard
Trump's
against
a
Neil Robertson, 2-2.
Yeah, let's hope that's the shape of things to come this week. 4 centuries already in the first sessions of both these matches. Carries on like this, what a week we're going to have. Another nice pot from Mark Williams. Now can he start scoring? Again, perfect angle on the blue. Has to go into the bunch. Yep, straight into the pink. Played it well. Couple of options.
6.
Red to left middle. He has got a red to the left corner. Nothing you would say is straightforward for position on a colour.
Seven.
Well, he will feel, I'm sure he has to up his rate of scoring. Still, ice break of only 25 from Mark Williams. He's seen Trump made that 100 in the second.
Yeah, it's all very well being good at scrappy frames, but to certainly win an event like this over long distances, you've got to score. We're never going to go through the whole event just winning frames in bits and pieces against the standard of players that's here this week. He knows that.
Yeah, I mean, we often say this. Perry Mans once won the Masters without making a 50 break, but that was a long, long time ago. 40 years. The game has changed enormously.
Play.
12.
Good shot here. There is a gap to get the cue ball round of 2 cushions back up for the blue or bulk colour. Yeah, well done. Cue ball to stop.
30. He's
always had a lovely touch around the table, Williams, sort of floating the balls in.
90.
do sense, even just talking to him, I saw him briefly yesterday, just now really focusing on the next few weeks. Going into the World Championship, he'll be walking out first on Saturday morning, as his customary, as defending champion, April the 20th. Might just about have sobered up by then. He's certainly enjoyed his year, hasn't he, as champion as well? He might. Took him 15 years to win it for a third time.
$36.
Straightforward, this. The red that's closest to the right corner. It's like one he's looking at. But even when he gets on that, what sort of angle can he get to get on the next colour? Looks to be okay, actually. Just put this
32.
Let's see if the pink goes left corner. If not, he can play for the pink to the left middle. I think that's what I'd be playing, because in playing that shot, you can cannon another red. Yeah, perfect. The two reds below the pink, just cannon the one to the left.
It's enough. Fault. $46. $47.
That was a nice shot. A lot more difficult than it looked. Really controlled the cue ball there. Had to really get into the cue ball. Perfect on the pink now.
$53.
He's really worked out this break really well. It wasn't straightforward. As David and I mentioned, he needed to start scoring. If anyone, just to send a message to his opponent that he can win the frames in one visit, if given the opportunity.
61.
What puts pressure on your opponent?
Pink and one more red to kill this one off. Noticeable very early on, he went into the pack off the blue, looking to do the sort of damage that Trump did in frame 2.
67.
Well, this match took a little bit of time to get going, but it's warming up nicely now. All the matches in this new tournament feel like finals in terms of who's playing and the length of the matches as well. Standard so far has been superb. 4 centuries, could be a 5th coming up across the
76.
2 tables.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Surely not 5 centuries in 8 frames. Incredible standard. It's what you would expect, you'd have to say, with the players we've got here this week. Still got the
83.
ultimate break builder to come this evening. Ronnie O'Sullivan, then Stuart Bingham.
84.
Well, his highest break in the first 3 frames was just 25, but things have improved significantly here for the 3 times world champion. He will
91.
need the last red as well, though, to make the century.
$92. $99.
That's a shame. So 99, but at least he's taken the frame out in one visit, and they're all square as they head off to the mid-session interval. A fascinating start. Judd.Trump made.
Thank you, Jill. Yeah, quality all the way in the Tour Championship,
Frame 5.
exactly as you would expect. The first
Mark Williams.
2 matches living up to expectations, and Mark Williams will be very pleased, I think, with the way he responded in frame 4 to get back onto level terms. This match, as indeed is the other, wide open.
Well, that's a good start on the resumption. Played it at such a pace where the keeper wasn't heading back into the bulk area. Fancied the pot, that's why.
Three.
That's the problem, isn't it? Black is tied up, possibly the pink, although he has had a look to see if it goes into the pocket he's knocking the red into. Just didn't quite have his cue ball under the control we would expect, I thought, before the interval. He could pot his way out of trouble. Not quite got to grips with the table and the pace of it, even though he made a century break. Oh, what a shot this is. What a shot. All power. It could have worked out better.
No.
How much it generated on the cue ball to get the bunch open from there. Could have ended up with an easier red, Phil.
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say, Neil, that few players in the history of the game have been able to generate as much power potting a blue like that, in either coming in or out of balk, or in that case, of a couple of cushions into the bunch.
I think a lot of players, you think about their cue power when they can screw back 12 feet and all that. But it still applies
Feet wrappers.
to playing
Can you
shots
just
with
keep quiet
topspin
without
as well.
rapping, yeah? Thank
The
you.
ladies in the audience was just making a little bit of noise, bless her, with the sweets she was enjoying. It's a good shot because he's freed the pink as well. I know he had no choice in the matter. The angle was there. But even now, he hasn't finished perfectly on anything. Quite an awkward little shot now. Because he's uses the rest as a right-handed player, you know, he's leaning across quite awkwardly across the table to play this shot. If he was a right-hander in general, he would have been able to reach that, you see. Well, don't say it stuck to that red. That is just unbelievable.
13.
Well, he's not on anything. You just couldn't make it up from that shot.
Well, that's cursed. And he just touched the red and moved it. He would have been on one, no problem, had he stopped. a centimetre short, again on the same red. Anywhere but there.
It literally is that millimetre, isn't it? Where nothing goes. It's just clung to the side of the red. So the one that he played on is not now available. And it wasn't a touching ball either, which would have been better to just run up the table.
Judd.trump, 13.
So that's okay. He's played a good safety shot. Williams taps the table. The worst outcome. I mean, he's played into that little area, but he probably doesn't think he's going to get the in off. And we were right behind the line of it. It always looked in it, and actually nearly stayed out.
And in this company, on such fine margins, do frames swing. Well, he was playing it with check side to avoid going into the reds clustered together, but even so, missing that, unexpected.
Mark Selby has just won frame 5 next door with a 64 break. There had been 3 consecutive centuries there, and of course he did trail 2-0, so as we've been saying, the standard is very high. Both of these tables. Could be anything else really, Phil. I mean, we've got the best players in the world that have been in the best form all season. No reason why it shouldn't be like this all week.
Well, simple concepts are always the best, and this is a simple one, and it's a surefire winner. Just assemble the best in the business, and you're guaranteed lots of entertainment, and you're guaranteed a very high standard. And look at this crowd. It's like a final on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, terrific crowd, always been well supported in this part of the world, snooker. All the best players here. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because 2010 was the last year that the UK Championship was over long matches, best of 17s all the way through. Ever since then, it's been best of 11s.
40.
Not everyone likes it. You know, there's an argument this tournament could match the UK Championship, certainly for standard of play and spectators coming to watch it.
I think it's also important with a Welshman at the table scoring to say this. Wales has been a hotbed of the game for many, many decades. And this is the biggest tournament ever held in Wales. When you consider the first prize here is more than double the first prize at the Welsh Open. Big league stuff.
22.
You're right, though, about the lengthy matches, Neil, in a world where we've got coming up a 100-ball cricket event and 2020s everywhere. It's nice to revert back to tradition. A match of meaningful length.
$35.
I guess you wouldn't think it would make any difference, really, you know, providing you're not playing one frame. It does seem that the players enjoy the longer matches. I can think of a couple over the years, especially. See, Mark Selby does a lot better in this format. And going back, I always remember Matthew Stevens was a different proposition in his prime in multi-session matches. Played well at the Crucible, played well in the UK Championship.
43.
I guess all the brilliant players enjoy it as well, because they know that they're probably better than the guy they're playing. Long time to prove it. Getting to the point here where looking to close out this frame.
49.
Red by the black, he doesn't really want to move. Nice touch there
50.
to hold from the blue perfectly. That was a better shot than it looked.
This kind of shot always a little dangerous. Hard to judge the potting angle, but no problems for Williams off the near jaw.
56.
And now from here, he should be back in front.
$61.
So that's it now. Frame ball regulation.
62. $68.
He obviously knows that this red absolutely seals the frame. If he were to miss it, 2 snookers to tie, you'd expect Judd.Trump to carry on. He won't be doing so now.
Going to be a tough shot,
69.
but maybe the angle on the pink here to screw into the red next to the black. That's the only way the century will be made. It was tough, no century, but it should be more than enough
Mark Williams
to win the frame.
69.
Do you know the only reason he's thinking about staying on here, and I can see why, just of where the balls have ended up. For all the world he didn't want to, but he knows he's got a guaranteed snooker. So it's a little bit of a bonus for him, and if he could put the red close to a colour, that would be even better. Not the best of efforts, actually. If it is a snooker, it's just a one cushion, fairly regulation escape. So he may concede
Frame
now.
conceded.
Yes.
Frame, Mark Williams.
Yes, it was 52 the difference, 35 on, plenty of snookers needed, a forlorn hope, and so Mark Williams is back in front. He led 1-0, fell behind, now it's 3-2. Came into this match as favourite, and based on his form this season, I think that was entirely justifiable. But there's also something you have to add into the equation. He's up against the reigning world champion.
Yes, and I think that winning that World Championship for the 3rd time, it knocked the stuffing out of Mark Williams for a considerable period of time thereafter. Oddly enough, he won the World Open straight away, hardly without any practice, back in August. Had he not won that, I don't think he'd be playing in this. He wouldn't have had the points, but he's beginning to want to knuckle down and climb the mountain again after sort of that World Championship. I think you don't really want to see a snooker table for a considerable amount of time after that. Matches are very long. Oh, he didn't want to hit that red. He did not want that to happen. It's a bad outcome.
One.
Yeah, I I think he wanted to miss that red and hit as much as the bottom one as he could. It would have been a good containing shot, but it's not worked out any good at all. It's a good shot. It's very well controlled. He's just starting to get to grips with his table, I think, a little bit more now. Though he broke down in the previous frame as well. Of course, the other thing about this match is that it'll finish tomorrow, and that in itself is a strange phenomenon if you're not used to it. You know, you sleep on a score line until the next day. Takes a bit of getting used to the first time you play a match lasting more than one day. Nice split.
12.
Based on a large sample, he's definitely the heavier scorer of the two. Lots of talk with Ronnie O'Sullivan's 1000th century about the relative merits of players and their break building. Well, Trump is right up there. When you consider that O'Sullivan's best ever season for centuries was one in which he made 74, well, Trump made 74 last season and he's made 69 already this season, with the bulk of this tournament, the China Open and the World Championship to come. So that just puts into perspective how good he is in the balls when he's flowing. Not been at his best so far today, but that's the great beauty of these matches. It gives you time to smooth into a match. By the way, as Mark Selby is proving on the other table, he's going to lead 4-2 guaranteed, and it looks like being yet another century.
6.
He played the cannon on the red, I think. On the pink, though, anyway, so it's not the worst. If it's possible to put the commentator's curse, Phil, on the match, on the table you're not even covering, you've done it. You didn't make a century, but you're absolutely right. He's playing very well again. Briefly on the subject of Mark Selby, you know, he's almost the forgotten man, isn't he? He's the world #1. He's almost the forgotten man in snooker because he's been so quiet for so long this season.
34.
One thing you can be sure of, he is close to performing at his best again, I would think. Anyway, this has been a good performance so far. There he is in the background, Mark Selby. He won't be too worried here, you know, Trump, that the black is where it is, tied up. He's done well with the other colours.
$7. 48.
Both of those reds popped to the left corner, middle of the table.
54.
Of course, players prefer
55.
the black to be in play, but when it isn't, and the reds are nicely open, as they've been here, and blue and pink are available, it isn't too much of a snag.
$61.
Well, there you can see the point Phil is making. 7 times, blue twice, but not the black. It's great art in
62.
scoring in that way. And it's just about to win in the frame. He needs one more red after this next blue. That's a pretty decent shot, isn't it? Look at that, absolutely perfectly on the red.
67.
That's how you like them for the frame.
$68.
And when it comes to a rudimentary shot like that, he's perfectly reliable playing right-handed. Well, that wriggled and wobbled and just about went in.
Tried to come out, didn't it?
74.
Developed the black now for the purpose of trying to make another century break himself.
75. Trump, 75. And the frame.
No century, but in a single scoring visit, Judd Trump draws level again. It is 3-3. The
I think Mark Williams has got to be aware of one thing. I'm sure he is, that in playing safe against Judd.Trump, you've got to get that cue ball underneath the bolt cushion. There's a red sticking out here, and he could easily stick it. Like that. He's going to need a bit of help from the brown here. Well, he didn't play it like that. It's a little fortunate, I think. There's no way a player would play in behind a colour in that way. He has left possibly one red on, but this is not an easy one from quite a thin pot. I think he had his eye on getting the cue ball safe as much as the pot there. That's good. It's a good shot from Trump.
yes, finding the gap was absolutely paramount there.
Foul. Nice. Good Trump. 4. Yeah.
Trump nodded to our referee Greg Caniglio to get the cue ball back.
Interesting to see if he's got a clear shot, which he seems to have. Would have to be a little bit careful if he was to miss again.
It closes the cushion. Okay. You got that?
Well, I actually think it's probably, well, much further back. Seem to have, I don't know,
Back a bit more.
regressed a bit with the whole replacing the balls in the misroll. It's got to go back further than it is, as Mark Williams was saying.
More.
In China, they have that phantom circle on the table, don't they, where they superimpose it, and then the referee can sort of work out where he needs to put the ball, and it really does quicken up the process.
Well, it's a better process than the one we're using here. Mark
Okay.
was doing everything he can to help Greg Caniglio out.
Doing that right?
I'm pot this way.
Yeah.
I'm nearly.
Yeah, I know you can click that one and you can put that. Bit more back.
Well, that's Colin Humphries doing his best. And it's not easy from where he's sitting to
Good.
liaise with the actual referee. said at the last tournament, we've got to do something better, I think. Now, you will be warned on the 3 strikes and out rule.
Foul. A miss.
I don't know if he can pot the red. That would be the interesting thing. I mean, if he did have it put back, can Mark Williams pot the red?
Well, I think when he was talking to Greg Caniglio before the previous cue ball put back incident, he did actually say to Greg, I can pot the red, so maybe he'll try and do just that.
Well, he's sure to try and pot the red now, isn't he? It's actually a very dangerous player sometimes who's on the last warning, because he's liable to crunch a long red and clear up.
Take a look at that, Mark. Is that right? You must hit the red this time, Mark. If you don't, blow the frame to jump. Okay.
There you go, there's the warning. But he's going to just go for this red, surely, isn't he? If there's a possible containing safety on, just make sure you hit one. That's the only advice I'd give him. We saw Ding Junhui lose a frame like that in the Masters this year, with 3 strikes and out, surprisingly.
And the first time it happened on TV, years ago, it was Steve Davis who fell victim. Who would have thought that? Just playing the conservative dump shot, but it's not worked.
Foul.
No, of course, that foul will not count against him. It's not actually a miss, it's still a 4-point penalty. Now, many players, going back a bit, would actually play a deliberate in-off, which, of course, the ball's never replaced. From where Mark was, I've seen players do that on purpose. Safest place. Cue ball back in the D doesn't always mean the man on the right end of it has got an easy shot himself. This time the brown does not come to his rescue.
Well, no one plays that shot any better than Judd Trump. And while he didn't get the pop this time, he got the desired effect with the cue ball, and it's okay in the end.
Now the crucial part here, has Judd left a shot at the left-hand side as we look at the table. Is there a red that goes there? Or it can hit, looks like he can't get to a thin red. So he's going the other side. Keeps doing that, doesn't he? They are mighty thin shots he's trying to hit.
Foul.
Nothing wrong with his eyesight or anything, it's just that he's trying to catch the thinnest of edges. And I reckon he'll try and do exactly the same. That's better. Through that at a very wide angle. That's an excellent shot from Trump. He ripped the cue ball wide around the table with right hand side. That's superb. Anyone would be proud of that shot, Phil, wouldn't they?
Sorry, Neil. Trump's best ever season, and the reason is right there. His safety's improved out of all recognition, and his application as well.
Well, I agree with you. You can't win at this game unless you've got a safety game. Some are better than others. But to become a champion, I mean, obviously Mark Williams, we know, has got all that. You don't think of his safety, but he's always been a very good defensive player. But there isn't a player who's won a world title who hasn't got a safety game or anything, I can assure you. It's just impossible to win unless you've got something to fall back on.
Tell you what, there's a gargantuan frame going on over on table 2. You can see it in the distance there. Mark Selby has this to steal it.
65.
What a frame that was. Robertson made 61 to initiate the scoring. Mr. Pinky should have potted to a top corner pocket. And Selby steps in. Mark Selby has won 5 frames in succession and he leads 5-2, and that one will hurt.
Yes, it's always the same at this game, Phil. It's not always the century breaks that hurt an opponent. It's the frames that they lose, which they should win. They're the ones that really kill a player off a little. Early indications are that world number 1 is back. Match is not over yet by any means, but won 5 in a row, as you say. This match looks very tight. Alan McManus made the point earlier on that they've got different styles. You know, they're left-handers, they pot a lot of balls. Judd's cue ball runs loose, he lets it swing around the table more than Mark does. Mark keeps the cue ball under tight control. He'd rather it had gone in, obviously, even though he had snookered him on it. It's put a bit of pressure on the next shot of Judd Trump, hasn't it? With that red there. He's going to go for a pot here, and of course I think he'll stick the red. If this doesn't go in. Oh dear. Balls are flying around everywhere here. Yeah, unavoidable to leave that red.
One.
Unusual so early in a frame to see all but one of the colours off their spots. Not a conventional table by any means, not an easy table either.
7. Eight.
But Neil Williams has always been one of those players who thinks out of the box when it comes to shot selections. He's a mover, a manipulator.
50.
Coaxes the balls, persuades them, and somehow it all adds up into a winning formula.
Sent. Eight. T4.
Did well there to avoid the reds.
25.
Getting more difficult though to make this into a sizable break. Especially now that he's finished absolutely straight on this.
Always think when you're watching snooker at home that the red to the right-hand middle pocket looks fairly simple if he runs through. I can assure you, most certainly isn't. At that acute angle, hardly anything to go for.
$31.
That, though, Neil, is class. It really is.
Well, it is. It's a terrific shot. It was on, but the pot was quite difficult. It was a thin pot, so it's hard to control the cue ball quite so easily when it's thin like that. But you're right, it's class, and we know he's got plenty of that.
Tina. Fault. T7. 48. $54.
He's going to need another red or two after this one goes in.
55.
I'll say a red or two. It depends on which colour, of course, he takes with his next red. See, the other issue is that he gave away all those points at the start of the frame. So he has a lot more work to do. Think of those penalty points and you think, well, you know, does it really matter giving 4 away? But it might
61.
play a part in this frame as of yet. Because he's only 45 in front, albeit
Mark Williams, 61.
he's played a typical Mark Williams shot there. He knew exactly where that cue ball was going. He missed the pot, but everything else about it was all right.
Normally a 45-point lead with 6 reds remaining, you're still vulnerable. Where the reds are, though, this is a very healthy advantage for Williams. And that's what he'll do, try and chip and clip and knock balls onto cushions and make Trump's life even more troublesome.
Problem is, he can't get to the top side of this red, as we saw from that camera angle. It's you can hit the red, but not to get it safe. He wants to be hitting, as we look, the left side of it, getting the red at one end of the table and the cue ball at the other. I don't think he can play the cross double very easily because the red's too near the cushion. It'll double kiss. Well, this has got to go, hasn't it?
Foul. Yes.
He must think
Williams
he's playing on a skating rink. That's going to ever reach the red.
Classic example there. You saw the side bite, and that's why he made contact. Delicate shot, but Williams has got a very powerful hand here. Being involved in a high-stakes match is second nature to Mark Williams. 90 world-ranking event quarterfinals he's been involved in. Trying to reach what would be his 54th semi-final.
Well, he wanted to cover that left red in playing that shot. And he's done so, as you can see. Looking more and more difficult to see how Trump can get back into this frame. It still could happen, but right now he's all out to just get anything into open play. Oh, they're playing a lot of swerve on this. I don't know if he left that on or not. It looks like he has. It's thin though, and if it does pop, literally we have to go just dead weight, because from there's hardly any pocket to aim at. Yeah, in the end, he thought better of it. Doesn't need to take any undue risks with this sort of a lead.
Well struck safety. Didn't deserve the in-off.
Foul.
but that's what's happened.
Mark Williams' foot.
Pretty relentless at the moment, the way that Williams is putting Trump in a lot of trouble. Played a lot of shots from down that end of the table recently, Trump.
Foul. Yes. Mark Williams' foot. One.
Not often you get to 74 points and you still have work to be done. Indeed, get to 81 points and still have work to be done.
8.
Frame ball red coming up.
Yeah, didn't try anything but to pot it there.
No.
Yes, I mentioned that he's been pretty relentless in this frame, Mark Williams. I'll tell you what else is relentless. Selby's scoring next door. Because he's won another frame over there with a big break. He's currently on 98, Mark Selby. And anyway, this frame is over.
Indeed it is, Neil, and for the third time this afternoon, 1-0, 3-2 and now 4-3. Afternoon of the Coral Tour Championship. Can Judd.Trump get back onto level terms overnight? That was like being in a time capsule. He used to do that all the time 20 years ago. His potting from distance was legendary.
Yes, I mean, there's some good right-handed potters, but it's something about lefties, isn't it? You know, the guy he's playing, Trump, you saw the same thing with Neil Robertson. And it was going back to
6.
You know, Jimmy White initially. His long game was fantastic. It's not all left-handers, but a lot of them are very good.
$30. 40.
And now, very quickly, we could have arrived at the point where this is the pivotal shot of the frame.
Well, played that with right-hand reverse side. When you come off the bunch, the cue ball went up the table. It's a good way of playing it. Often players will play that with the other side and the cue ball just check back down towards the black. Giving him a shot at least to go at.
Mark Williams, 21.
That will annoy Williams because he knows a chance had really presented itself there. I think potting the red into the heart of the pocket might have seen him hit the reds a little too thick to get down on the black. Maybe that was
1.
nagging away.
Three. Four.
That's a fairly important frame, doesn't it? If he did trail 5-3, you'd wonder quite how he was behind Trump, that is, because you know he's played very much his part in this match.
11.
Mark, if he hadn't missed that red, could have been well on his way to taking that 5-3 lead.
Twelve. $90.
Never more than a frame between these two all afternoon. The lead has changed hands. So has momentum. I think if it finished 4-4, that would be a fair outcome.
57.
I think to neutrals like us, I'm sure we would probably say that,
28.
but I guess in both players' minds they'll think, well, even if it finished 4-4, things could have gone a lot better for me. It's a natural emotion, that. But it would give us everything to play for when they resume tomorrow.
35.
Not there yet. It still has work to do here.
$36.
They certainly developed the two reds there by playing that cannon. That's quite nicely controlled as well.
43. $44.
This Coral Series, and indeed the Tour Championship, was the brainchild of
49.
Barry Hearn.
$50.
Barry has lots of very good ideas, and I think this one could well turn out to be one of his best. The top cueists gather, and then the sparks fly.
Well, he can win the frame with the two reds
56.
in the middle of the table without worrying about the other two that are a little more awkward to pot.
$57.
Well, I think from there, this red's not too bad at all. He's got perfectly in
64.
behind this. It's a frame ball. Been an enjoyable session, this one.
55.
There have been mistakes made, although both players pot success 90%, so they haven't missed that many. really couldn't decide who's going to win this match when they do resume tomorrow.
70.
Beautiful cannon.
And on that theme about sparks flying, Neil, are we going to see the 6th century of the opening afternoon?
78. 79.
No century, I'm afraid. But Judd Trump and Mark Williams have played a very entertaining session there. We've had the Tuesday teaser, who will win on Wednesday. Tune in tomorrow.
Back, though, at this enthralling match between Mark Williams and Judd Trump. I mean, you can't call it, Stephen and Alan, at this early stage.
No, every time you think one player's kind of getting the upper hand and showing the most strength or scoring, then a mistake happens or there's a little bit of safety, and then the other one seems to be on top. So, yeah, it's almost impossible to pick a winner. What's going to happen tomorrow?
And, you know, we've got the top 8 players here. They're the top 8 form players of the year. It shows, doesn't it?
It does. The standard's been brilliant all day on both tables. I think Mark Williams and Judd, there's never been more than a frame in it. Nip and tuck the whole way, sets it up beautifully for tomorrow. High
scoring as well. They went in at the mid-session interval all square, and as you say, they come out all square at the end of this one. I mean, who psychologically do you think has had the edge here?
It's tough to say. I get the feeling that Mark Williams, he'll be a little annoyed that he's not got the lead. But, you know, Judd could argue the same point. I just feel that Mark Williams had been marginally stronger, but that's nitpicking. It's, as I said, nip and tuck the whole way. Judd has shown real good resilience. That's what he's got in his game now. The last couple of years, he can, you know, get over disappointments, which there's been a couple.
Mark Williams came out in frame 5 and took that frame to go 3-2 up.
He did, yeah. I mean, the first thing to say about this is that he's unfortunate here, Judd. He senses here when the cue ball's drifting, because the bed's really quick. This is going to stick on the red. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happens. And very unlucky. Then he made a mistake a couple of shots later. Mark Williams did the rest, Stephen.
Yeah, Mark Williams, he's got his scoring boots on from the first 2 or 3 frames. He only had a 22 break or something, but he looks to be, when he gets in now, he looks more dangerous. I thought in the early parts of the match, the first session, it looked Judd was the more likely to score, but Mark's starting to get that part of his game going.
Yeah, and I mentioned before about his cue ball, Mark Williams. He keeps it in a nice tight rein these days, but this is a rare mistake actually for Mark Williams. You'll see his head dip. There it goes. You see, he's really stingy with things like that during matches, Mark Williams. He hates giving away freebies, and that was one that Judd took advantage of. What did he make? He went on to make 75 and got himself back in there. With nice split in the reds, a typical Judd Trump shot. Deserved a good leave, which he got. Yeah, I think Judd. We expect Judd to sort of, you know, the way he's been playing this season, to sort of steamroller opponents, but he's not been able to do that today. Mark Williams is a very, very clever player. This we're just seeing at the end of a break here, and Judd opening the balls, and unfortunately didn't go in to make the century this time. But yeah, we're used to Judd maybe winning 4, 5, 6 frames in a row. Yeah, that Mark was nice. He doesn't actually play to shift the reds here. He comes round that little corner. He's really unlucky, actually. Lands straight in the pin. But he doesn't dwell in the disappointment. He drops through, plays a lovely little cannon here for the deliberately sort of just off straight in the red cannon. It's a gorgeous thought. I actually thought he missed the red. It hit the front knuckle. Sometimes they don't go in, but yeah, those little touch shots. He's not. When Mark Williams, when he has to hit a shot hard, you don't fancy him getting the pot. But when he's a normal pacer shot, he's very good. This is what I love about Williams here. Watching him study the table. His eyes are beady-eyed. He's looking, where's my right shot here? He's got a nice lead, just needs a couple of balls. Where's the shot that gives me the value? Push one into the middle of the table. It's a half-ball cannon in behind green. Judd misjudges the next safety, and Mark did the rest. Brilliant shot. Brilliant. They can't complain about the table here because they've been high scoring, hasn't they? You know, the beautiful conditions are here in Llandudno. Yeah, both tables, as we've mentioned, the other match as well, really high scoring. That was actually a really good shot from Mark Williams. An awkward bunch to go into, but didn't land lovely in a red. Misses this, and this next shot here, this a wee lesson to amateur players. He could try and play in the blue here, a little fancy shot,
and not get there. He's played for Bolt Cullen knowing he's got 2 reds either side of the pink, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He's given himself out there. Myself and Stephen, actually, in real time, when he played that, we thought, oh, that's a good shot. It was the correct shot to play, and he just pushes this red out, and that was us at 4-all. Good stuff.
They'll both go in quite happy, though, tonight after that opening session?
Yeah, as I say, both players will probably look back and think, oh, that frame, I could have done that frame, I could have done that. But yeah, we've got a best of 9 tomorrow to see who gets to the semi-final.
Great stuff. OK, coming up on the other side of the break.